let us all do we can to build a better future.
Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, the progressive heavyweight champion, supposedly. 2016 and 2020, he led not one, but twice for two presidential campaigns in the Democratic primary. Now, obviously, we all have our memories, our fondness of Bernie Sanders during those times. But as time has progressed on, we realize that Bernie Sanders never was who he said he was. It never was going to be what it was, unfortunately, with Bernie Sanders. And as time progressed on, many of us became disappointed, disillusioned in what Bernie Sanders would represent to us. Now, to all of you, my viewing audience, I encourage all of you to remember, never hold these politicians to a high standard. They deserve to be criticized, all of them. They are, after all, people. Now, Bernie recently went to Ireland, and it didn't go the way he wanted it to go. For he was called out, and I am all in favor of politicians being called out for their hypocrisy, for their failures, for their faults, for their moments when they royally F up. Now, my friends, I need all of you to remember just a few certain things, especially when it comes down to politicians. Bernie, he might say things you want to hear. He might say things that you will respect. But in this video here, even Bernie Sanders will say, I want to be careful with the word genocide. Genocide being what's happening in Gaza. Now, where we're at, 28,000, probably going on to 29,000 dead men, women, and children. The people are starving. The people are being exposed to the elements. The city of Rafah under siege. 1.4 million Palestinian men, women, and children there. And they've been told that they have to evacuate, but yet the evacuation zones, who knows if they're going to have a safe travel there? We could speculate. We could theorize. But let's check out this video that's been kind of going viral. That's been gaining a lot of attention. I think it's important that we talk about it. So let's go ahead and pull up this video here for all of you to see firsthand. And I will not pause. I will play it in its full entirety.
While they were in KCCC.
David and I have discussed what is going on right now is absolutely outrageous. We've got to do everything that we can to end the slaughter of innocent men, women, and children. What I have supported, and I will work as hard as I can to get the Biden administration to support, is a UN trying to bring about a ceasefire, a humanitarian pause ceasefire, in order to provide the desperately needed aid that the Gaza people need. When you get to the word, I get a little bit queasy, and I don't. What genocide? We use the word. We got to be.
Sorry, I know I said I wouldn't pause, but you all heard that. And I will be, when I edit this video, I will up the volume so you could hear it in its entirety as well. But he says, what genocide? He says, what genocide? Let's rewind that one more time. What genocide? What genocide?
That the Gaza people need. When you get to the word, I get a little bit queasy, and I don't. What genocide? We use the word. We got to be careful about that word.
It is a genocide.
What's your definition of genocide?
Bernie, you have funded Zionism yourself. You have funded the Israeli settler state. Here you are pretending you aren't. It is disgusting. Liar, liar, genocide denier. Liar, liar, genocide denier. It's disgusting. It is reprehensible. You are a child killer. You are a genocide denier. The United States military-industrial complex are the largest murderers in the world. It does not matter if it is a Democrat or a Republican. You have murdered people around the world. The Native Americans are still being genocided. I have never heard you once speak about genocide.
Now, I understand the volume was a little bit too low for some of you to hear, but that is what he said. I get a little queasy, feel a little hesitant about hearing the word genocide. I will play it again just one more time, just so all of you can hear it again. I know the volume is low. I will be editing this video, so the volume will be a little bit higher, and I hope that all of you will hear it in its full entirety and in its clarity. This was one of the few videos I could find that was a little bit longer than just under a minute. Let's go ahead and play it again.
I don't, what genocide? We use the word, we've got to be careful about that word.
It is a genocide.
Sorry, my apologies. Let me just play that again, just to go a little bit further.
I get a little bit queasy, and I don't, what genocide? We use the word, we've got to be careful about that word.
It is a genocide.
What's your definition of genocide?
Bernie, you have funded Zionism yourself. You have funded the Israeli settler state. Here you are, pretending you aren't. It is disgusting. Liar, liar, genocide denier. Liar, liar, genocide denier. It's disgusting. It is reprehensible. You are a child killer. You are a genocide denier. The United States military-industrial complex are the largest murderers in the world. It does not matter if it is a Democrat or a Republican. You have murdered people around the world. The Native Americans are still being genocided. I have never heard you once speak about genocide.
So that happened. Now, again, I will be uploading this video as a clip, and I will be editing so the volume will be much higher. Apologies if you could not hear it during the live stream show, but that will be fixed. Now, I do want to pull up this article here. Protesters heckle U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders during UCD event. So let's talk about what's going on. Pro-Palestinian protesters disrupted an event in UCD featuring the former U.S. presidential candidate and longtime Senator Bernie Sanders. One protester was evicted from O'Reilly Hall, and two others continually interrupted a talk between Mr. Sanders and David McWilliams, an event that was part of the Delkay Book Festival. Sanders received a standing ovation from a crowd of more than 1,000 people when he told the protesters that public meetings were an essential part of democracy and disrupting them was wrong. He also told them that slogans are not solutions. Really, Bernie? Weren't you part of the civil rights movement? Weren't you part of that, huh? So the protesters accused Sanders of being a Zionist and a genocide denier, despite him being one of the most vocal critics in American politics of Israel. Really? Well, again, Bernie Sanders... he did a do-nothing bill. The genocide's still ongoing, Senator Sanders. The 83-year-old longtime Vermont senator is in Ireland to promote his book. It's okay to be angry at capitalism because, hey, that's what the world needs right now, a book. A book. That's what's going to solve the problem. He was loudly applauded when he said that Israel had the right to defend itself. Oh, my goodness gracious. We live in a clown world. But it does not have the right to go to war against the entire Palestinian people. All right. So on the one hand, Israel has the right to defend itself. On the other hand, it doesn't have the right to go to war against the entire Palestinian people. Well, that's what's happening, Bernie. Oh, Bernie Sanders. That's what's happening there, buddy. That's what's ongoing. That's what's happening. He said the American political establishment historically supported Israel, but Israel has changed and now has an extreme right-wing government. You're just noticing that now, old man Bernie? Was Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is facing criminal indictments and members of his cabinet who are racist. Racist. There's not appreciation of how bad Netanyahu is, and the cabinet is worse, he told McWilliams. When asked if he thought Ireland should support South Africa's case at the International Court of Justice, Sanders said people should be careful about using the word genocide, at which he was interrupted. So I know it was hard to hear it in the video. Again, I will edit it, but here he is being quoted. You got to be careful about using the word genocide. Tell me how you feel about Bernie Sanders now. No such thing as a wrong answer. No such thing as a wrong answer. Thank you, Lyle, gentlemen. To hell with Bernie Sanders. I know. Wait for us to start off our morning, right? What is going on now is absolutely outrageous. We have to do everything we can to stop the killing of innocent men, women, and children. We need the UN to bring about a ceasefire and a humanitarian pause to bring in desperately needed aid. When asked if President Biden could win a second term, Mr. Sanders said he could if he has an agenda that speaks to ordinary people. Oh, you frickin' cuck. Jimmy Dore was right about you, Bernie. And if he promises to reintroduce the president's signature Build Back Better bill, which was defeated by conservative Democrat senators, not Republican senators, conservative Democrat. I'm sorry, I did not pronounce the word properly. Conservative Democrat senators. Mr. Sanders added that both parties in the United States do not represent the interests of working people. You don't say! They're doing insider trading, Bernie. But the political system in the country made it very difficult for a third party to get national traction. Oh, because we got to crap on third parties. But don't worry, folks. Listen, here. Listen, this is from Hotspot. Does killing a 6-year-old girl along with her entire family constitute as a war crime? Hey, Bernie, how do you feel about this? Because it was Hamas, Israel, Ireland ambassador says. Listen to this.
6-year-old girl who was found dead at the weekend, Hind Rajab, and she was in a car with her family. They were fleeing Gaza City, and she was on the phone. She was the last surviving member of her family in the car. She was on the phone to emergency services. The Red Crescent sent an ambulance out to her. At the weekend, that girl was found dead in the car, as were the paramedics. Does that constitute a war crime?
Now, the answer is yes. Yes, it does. Civilians were shot wrongly, killed, and then the paramedics, the first responders who went to save the day, were also killed as well.
I heard about this tragic case. I don't know what exactly happened there, but we've seen how Hamas take over ambulances.
Because it's always Hamas. Okay. It always is. It's always them.
We've seen how they embed themselves in the hospital.
So is it okay to strike an ambulance then if that's what happened?
Well, according to international law, when on that ambulance there are terrorists, or if they're
unmarked, it had. Okay.
On the way to perform an attack, again.
Well, they were on the way to rescue the 6-year-old girl.
We don't have all the information. And
yes, we do. We do have all the information. It was an ambulance on the way to save a little girl and her cousin, and then they were killed. It's been happening to a lot of journalists, first responders, aid workers, doctors who are there in Gaza. It's an everlasting nightmare there.
What I reported in a conversation.
Again, we don't know all of the information. What I ask you, I understand the criticism against Israel. I acknowledge that. But every time you criticize Israel, ask, why are we in this situation?
Because a year ago, thank you, New York Times, for posting that article. Because again, I just have to. There was a heads up a year ago, 1 year ago. The Israeli intelligence services were given a heads up, and the New York Times posted that article. Like, hey, there's going to be this attack that's going to be happening, and they did nothing. It's almost like as if maybe kind of sort of Netanyahu wanted to have his wag the dog moment because he had a lot of domestic issues that are impacting him and his government. And sort of what's the best way to distract people? All right, I got a whole lot of corruption. Time to wag the dog.
This tragic war, this tragic reality that the people in Gaza are living under. Why are they living like this? Who is responsible for that? The infrastructure of the terror tunnels underneath Gaza. I don't hear a lot of coverage for that here, but we need to talk about it, how they embedded the hospitals.
So how else can we really address this? Because here's the thing. We look at the entire political establishment system as it being pro-Israel. We see how people are right now speaking out against the clear war crimes and the genocide that is taking place in Gaza. Don't rely on the Democrats to do the right thing, be it from people like AOC or Bernie Sanders, because the Democrats are all one and the same. I want to give a huge shout out to good friends of the show, Do Dissidents. They were able to find this clip of Briahna Joy Gray speaking to Representative Dean Phillips. And while Bernie Sanders and Dean Phillips, I can make an argument, are two different people, they gave the standard Democrat answer. And all of you should see this firsthand. Dean Phillips can't answer why Palestinians should have to pay for the crimes of Nazi Germany. He shakes his head nervously and then reverts to his talking points. He then takes offense at Briahna Joy Gray's perfectly valid comparison to American settlers and Native Americans. It's a fair enough comparison. Here, let's play it for all you beautiful people to see.
I've spoken at length on this podcast about how disgusted I was to discover that Otto Frank and Frank's father application was turned away and how close they came to be able to immigrate to America. I'm disgusted by it. But the question is, why should the actions of an anti-Semitic America and an anti-Semitic Europe be paid for by the people of Palestine who had absolutely nothing to do with the horrors of the Holocaust?
He can't answer. Brain not working. Dean. Why are you still in the primary, baby? Don't you realize that you're kind of wasting your time? But also, maybe it would have been better just not to get involved here, because pausing you at that face right now is absolutely priceless.
I mean, Briahna, first, let me strike at the heart of what you just said earlier, which is my empathy for Black America and the long tail of slavery.
Briahna Joy Gray wasn't talking about Black people, man, right now. She wasn't talking about Black people.
It is so abhorrent and so visible and so obvious that I cannot believe we have not repaired that injustice. I want to honor that and acknowledge that. If anything, I'm telling you, I empathize with that. I was asking.
That was one hell of a deflection. Ping! I'm really sorry what's going on for Black people.
For mutual empathy, and I don't know if you just shared it with me. I think you did. But you just asked a question of something that is just, it's just so historically inaccurate. Israel has been attacked because it's a Jewish state for decades. Now, Netanyahu's a different story. I'm not going to support him. What's happening right now is abhorrent, and his policies are abhorrent.
Hey, so Dean, listen, not to put you on a spot here, baby, because if I was Bree, I would have done it. So what's your plans for reparations there, baby?
It's true. And you can imagine it's not an easy thing to say for someone like me, but it is true. And I'm bold and I'm being honest and I understand. I cannot tolerate seeing this any longer. But Israel has been attacked since the day it was established by the free world after the Holocaust. It was attacked by its neighbors, and they survived.
That's like saying that American settlers were attacked by Native Americans because they were white, or because.
Also, I want to give a shout out to Dan Burr right here, who says, "What do you think of genocide?" Hold on, this is going to be acting 101 right here. I'm going to act like a liberal here. What do you think of the genocide? Well, some of my best friends are Black. Some of my best friends are Black. That has nothing to do with anything. Also, beware of a person who says, yeah, some of my best friends are this or that. No, they're not. It's just like that scene from Godfather 2 with that corrupt senator is like, some of the best people I know are Italians.
Because they were Christian.
Oh, boy, Briahna, holy moly. Boy, I'm telling you.
He's like, oh, boy, holy smoly, that is a little crazy.
And they survived.
That's like saying that American settlers were attacked by Native Americans because they were white. Or because they were Christian.
Oh boy, Briahna, holy moly, boy!
Holy smoly!
I got to tell you, I'm expressing empathy for Palestinians, for Muslims, for Black Americans. I'm not feeling what I'm surprised, to be honest with you, and I'm offended.
What is surprising about this, Representative?
You're offended? How? Why? Why are you offended?
Surprised. I'm surprised by the lack. I just explained it. I'm surprised by the lack of empathy of progressives relative to the Jewish people.
Wow. Don't you love our out of touch Democrat politicians? Don't you just really love just how foolish they all are? I just got to bring up this tweet right here. Hold on. Shout out to Misty, who's absolutely the best. Love her show. I don't have to watch this in context right now. Does he actually just blurt out, I support Black people? Like, did he just say I have a Black friend with a guilt twist? Yes, you heard that right, Comrade Misty. Sarcasm Stardust, Putin's best buddy in the whole wide world. You heard that right, folks. He said, yeah, I support Black people. What do you think of genocide? My best friends are Black. My best friends are black. And Bernie Sanders tells you we got to be careful with the word genocide. These politicians, they're not as smart as they've been perceived or as made to be by corporate media. And for a long time, boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, Gen Z, we've all been fooled into thinking by our media, by our institutions, that those people in Washington, D.C. know what they're doing. They don't. And as an ongoing genocide is happening, just remember, if they're so out of touch with this, they're out of touch with everything. Call them out. Hold their feet to the fire. They got to earn the respect. And for a long time, they've been walking around as though it's entitled to them. Bernie, you're a joke. Dean, you're running the Democratic primary. That makes you even a bigger joke. But holy schmoly. Dean, I don't know which one. You know what? Let's have democracy in the chat. Which one of the three videos really just boils your blood and is the worst? Which one is it? Type 1 for Bernie Sanders saying we got to be careful with the word genocide. A type 2 was that ambassador saying, we got to be careful what defines a war crime, even though an ambulance was blown up. Or 3, Dean Phillips saying, holy schmoly, some of my best friends are black. I'll let you decide. I'm very curious how many 1s, 2s, or 3s we'll have in the comment section. Folks, I said it 2024 was going to be interesting and funny. They always say, be careful what you ask for. I am really looking forward to the DNC convention. And Hardlands Media is going to be there because, my goodness, if these are the stellar performance for the Democratic Party, it kind of tells me just really how disappointed and angry Americans are going to be with the Democrats. And it's coming to my backyard, the Windy City, Chicago. I can't wait to see how this all plays out.